Hey guys, I'm setting up here a little bit. Um, Hope you can hear me. Got a little different audio. Let me know if you're getting yeah, what do you call it? An echo. So, all right. So, hey guys, how you doing this evening or this afternoon, wherever you're at? Let me get the chat up here. So here who do we got here? Oh, huge quiz. I didn't see the message on Instagram. So if you're here, I didn't see it. Hope the message wasn't you're not allowed to stream it. That would not be good. But I think it was okay. So I missed whatever that was. So if you're here, it's really cool. The website I'm going to be going to look at some geography quizzes. Really a fun site. So we got Vancouver, Washington, Portland, Oregon. Got England. Got Reading here. It's pretty late for you guys. Got Joe, Tony, Lima, Spencerville, Ohio, a lot of Ohio, Hickory. Yeah, I'm doing a website. I'm gonna just switch over to where I'm just in the corner of it. That's why I don't have it set up with the way you would think. So this is the website. Whoops, what am I doing here? This is the website that I'm going to be using. It's called Huge Quiz, and let me scoot over here a little bit. All right, so yeah, everyone asked where I got this shirt from. It was a gift, and I don't know where it came from. So all right, let me. All right. So I'm not. This is a new website that I haven't used much before. There's other geography quiz sites that I don't think are as good. This one has a lot of really good, really difficult quizzes. So a lot of these other ones, like I brought a couple other ones up, they are just not as difficult. They're actually pretty easy. So you can go to Huge Quiz here. And so full disclosure, I went on here kind of froze up. I went on here a few days ago to set up an account. I don't know why it's kind of frozen right here. Yeah, I did a couple of these. I did one where it was the largest islands in the, okay, here it is. Largest islands in the U.S. And as you can see, I did awful, 8 of 100. And so let me explain. I didn't realize how it all worked, the interface, and it was timed. So I only got 8. So I'm on record being that I only got 8 of the top 100 islands. So I wanted to go back and fix it and do one where I knew I could do pretty well. And Mexican states, I was able to get all of them, so I wanted to at least have a palate cleanser. I'm doing pretty well on this. I'm not sure why. Why am I not showing up in the corner? I don't know what I'm doing here. All right. Well, I'm not sure why it's not doing that. Anyway, so here's the quiz website. So I'm going to use this one. Hopefully, it'll do some pretty good ones. And go back to the chat a little bit. So at lot from Ohio, you got San Diego, Ontario, Pittsburgh, couple Pittsburgh, Omaha, Tucson, another North Carolina. So we got quite a few in here. Des Moines. So yeah, I'm just going to go to one of these quizzes. So play now, of course, geography. I'll start off with one for North America. I'm not sure. So I haven't done any of these. If I looked at some of the categories, they look pretty intense. You know, Atlanta neighborhoods, Boston neighborhoods. I mean, these are pretty difficult. So wanted to go through some of these and pick out. There's a lot of stuff on here. And also, I'll be doing this probably about an hour, and at 7, I'll just do normal Q&A. So I probably won't be answering many questions while I'm doing this. I'll try to look over at the chat, but I don't know if I'll be able to do a whole lot with the chat right now once I get this thing started. So let me... the 1900 census. Wow, these are... Wow, there's a lot of stuff in here. Counties. So, what is this? U.S. largest counties by state by population. All right. All right, so I guess I'm just typing here. So Alaska's is Anchorage. Alabama's is Jefferson. Arkansas's is Pulaski, I think. Arizona's Maricopa. California's Los Angeles. Colorado is I think El Paso is past, yeah. Connecticut, Fairfield? No. New Haven? I don't know. There's not that many counties in, not that many counties in, what is the largest? Fairfield, New Haven, Hartford. What else could it be? Did I not spell Fairfield right? Have I lost my mind? What other one is there? I don't know. Wow. What am I doing wrong? I don't know. I'll go to Delaware. That's Newcastle. Florida is Miami-Dade. Georgia is Fulton. Hawaii's Honolulu. Idaho is Ada. Illinois is Cook. Indiana is Marion. Kansas, Johnson, I believe. Louisiana is Orleans Parish. Wait, what? Oh, no, it's Jefferson Parish, sorry. No? What is Louisiana's? I don't know. It's not East Baton Rouge. It is East Baton Rouge. Huh. All right. Middlesex, Massachusetts. Montgomery, Maryland. Cumberland, Maine. Wayne, Michigan. Hennepin, St. Louis County. Hines, Mississippi. Yellowstone. I think Wake has passed Mecklenburg, and yeah, pass. New Hampshire. New Hampshire counties don't really matter. I think it's Hillsborough. Yeah. New Jersey, Bergen. New Mexico is Bernalillo. Nevada's Clark. New York is Kings. Ohio's Cuyahoga. Is it Cuyahoga or Cuyahoga? I've heard Cuyahoga. Actually, it's Franklin anyway. Doesn't even matter because it's Franklin. Columbus has passed it up. Oklahoma County, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Oregon is Multnomah. Philadelphia is the city and county. Providence, Rhode Island. Greenville, South Carolina. I don't know how to pronounce this one. It looks like Minnehaha. I'd imagine it's anything other than that. Maybe Minnewawa. I'm not sure. But Tennessee is Shelby. It's Memphis. And you have Harris, Texas. Salt Lake, Utah. Fairfax, Virginia. Chittenden, Vermont. It gave me King. Oh, okay. I put in Kings for New York and it gave me King, Washington. Okay. Wisconsin's Milwaukee. West Virginia is Kanawha. And Wyoming is Laramie. So what is this Connecticut thing? What am I missing on Connecticut? There aren't that many counties. I can't even think what else it could be. Oh, yeah, guys, you know what? You are going to get ads with this. I apologize. It has nothing to do with me. I got something from YouTube saying you have to have ads on your live streams. So I have no control over that. You'll probably get a random one every half hour or so. So I apologize for that. That's not me doing that. You're going to see just in general more ads because that's something that YouTube is doing starting in November. So you might be seeing more ads. They've done stuff with ad blockers and stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. I still don't know why this isn't, why my beautiful face is not showing up on the corner of the, like, I don't get it. I do not understand. This is the same setup I had last time, so earlier this year they switched to planning regions. That makes sense. I mean, New England's counties never really made much sense, but I don't know what you would even call it. So then, oh, I skipped Iowa. Iowa's Polk. So it's just Connecticut. So I don't know. I don't even know how I would do it. Yeah, there's always, Dennis, there's always going to be a workaround with ad blockers, I'm sure. I mean, it's like, parents come up with a thing to keep their kids, locked out of things with passwords, and the kids figure out a way to get around it and stuff. Yeah, I've used YouTube Premium for a while, so I don't really know what kind of ads you get. So I don't know how to do this. Am I just done? How do I stop? How do I stop? Oh, end quiz. Well, all right. I got 49. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay. Oh, that's how many people got it right? Oh, huh. They only gave me 40, though. I'm not sure how that score works. All right. So, yeah, I think they don't. I guess they were saying Fairfield County. They don't do counties anymore, so I don't know what that would be. All right, let's try another one. All right. I mean, city neighborhoods. That's tough. I could probably do Chicago, not Denver. Houston super neighborhoods. I'm not even sure what that means. Oh, so this just asks you. Oh, okay. This is actually kind of easy. Let's see. Tells you. It even tells you the states. That one's not going to be very difficult. Let me find a different one. I don't know what these elimination things mean. Choose any state by typing in its abbreviation, then name the 25 largest cities in that state without naming a city. Wow. Wow. Wow, that's hard. Wait a minute. 25 largest cities in any state. Wow, that's really hard because some states, man, I can't even name 25 cities. All right. So let me, if I, oh, it gives them to you. Then you have to hit quotes. Oh, underscore. Wait, what? What? You must end each city name with a. I'm not. I don't think I understand what I'm doing here. Let me see if I got all right, Denmark. Yeah, you're allowed to help in the chat, but I'm just trying to figure out how to naming notes. You must end each city name with a, it looks like quote underscore, but I can't tell. Have to end it with quote underscore quote. I don't know. A period. Is that what that is? Wow, I've lost my mind. Wow. That looks like, all right. All right, so that's 1,013,000 at San Jose. 873 is, this must be census, because that would be San Francisco. No. Oh. Yes, this is census. 542 is .403 Stockton? No, that's Bakersfield. Then Stockton. 346. River, no. 340. That's a big city. How do I not know what this is? 346. It's got to be in the, oh, it's Anaheim or Santa Ana is what it's going to be. Yeah, Anaheim. 307. Uh, 307. No, Fremont's not that big. Fremont's top 25, but it's not that big. 307. I don't know. Ooh, wow. Whoa, whoa, okay, that was a bold guess that barely paid off. You know, I don't... Is Modesto... I think Modesto would be over that, correct? Okay. I can't think what else is over 200,000. Escondido or... No, Oceanside. Oh, I guessed... I messed up. I missed it. Oceanside was 29th. What am I missing? San Bernardino? Oh, I can't do it anymore. Okay. Ah, that's bad. I didn't do very well at all on that. 307, 275. There must have been a consolidation of cities or something. I'm missing something major. What? Irvine. Irvine's that big? Wow. Okay, I did not know Irvine had... I know Irvine's been growing quite a bit, but I didn't realize it had... I don't think I can do it anymore. So how do I end it? All right. Yeah, these are pretty hard, you know. So I'm going to see if I can do another state. I think my next best one would be South Carolina. What am I doing wrong here now? I don't know. Okay, so here's South Carolina. This will be the next state. If I can do another one, it would be this one. It'd be tough though. So you've got Columbia, Charleston, oops. You've got North Charleston. Nice if I could spell. 90,000. That's I don't think Greenville is that big. Rock Hill, Goose Creek. I have no idea how big Myrtle Beach is these days. I'm sure it's going to be there. Yeah, it's in there, but I didn't. Hilton Head Island, Spartanburg, um, 90,000. What has 90,000 that I'm missing? That's wow, 90,000. That's a lot. That has to be, I don't know. Anderson, number 16. This one here is South Carolina. So when you get down to these, it's really tough because there's so many similar sides. I'm going to say Aiken is one of them. Okay, Aiken was one. Greenwood. Oh, all right. That was a bold guess. There's got to be ones. Oh, Mount Pleasant. That's going to be an obvious one. That's the one I was missing. All right. 50,000. Greer. Number 14. Sumter. And Somerville. Is Clemson that big? I don't think Clemson's over 20,000. Monk's Corner, Beaufort. Fort Mill. I'm gonna go with Fort Mill. Okay, that's on there. I don't think Orangeburg. I'm scared to hit the G on this one. Nope. Wait, what? It didn't count it. So I guess, wait. It didn't time me out, but it didn't count it either, so. All right. I'm looking over the chat now. Malden. Yeah, Malden is probably one. And Simpsonville. Simpsonville, I bet that's another one. I don't know if West Columbia would be up there. Oh, Conway. Man, I'm doing better with this than California. That's pretty embarrassing. Wow. Okay. I'm going to have to guess Beaufort. Oops. This one's different. It doesn't kick me out if I don't get one right. The other one, as soon as I put in the wrong one, it kicked me out. Oh, it's a different quiz than one before. Okay. Gaffney? I don't know. Would Gaffney be up there? North Augusta is a little more reasonable. I'm thinking somewhere like a Charleston suburb, like Monk's Corner. I don't know what. It's going to be or somewhere in the upstate that's grown. I'll put in Gaffney. I'll put in Gaffney, Joe. Let's see if you know more than I do. No. Yeah, Gaffney's not too big. Wouldn't be Georgetown. It wouldn't be Florence. I see it. Florence. That's got to be one, Dennis. That's got to be it. Yep. That's a bad miss on my part. Yeah. And I'll try North Augusta. There you go, North Augusta. But when you get to this size range, all right, I'm gonna guess Clemson, although I don't think so. No. 27,000. Yeah, Greenville, Spartanburg, Greer, Anderson, Pickens. Easley. I'm going with Easley. There, barely makes it. Okay. Yeah, that's where most of the growth has been. Some of these small, like when I was living in South Carolina, Bluffton, there you go, flowing, that's color. That's going to be Bluffton for sure. Yep. But yeah, when I was living in South Carolina, a lot of these places like Easley, Somerville, not Somerville, Simpsonville, Malden, these were not very big towns. Fort Mill, Rock Hill was growing a lot when I was living there, but yeah. So we got a couple left. What do you got? Dillon? No, I don't think it'd be Dillon. That's pretty small. I think Dillon County might have maybe 25,000 or so. I don't know. This is I'll try Dillon. I'm pretty sure it's not Dillon though. Yeah, that's pretty small. That's Dillon County's where the what do you call it? The south of the border thing is. What else is in? I'm gonna guess West Columbia. I don't think it's over 20,000 though. No. Casey. No. Irmo. No. I don't know if Irmo counts as a town. Yeah, so I don't know what this is. I doubt it'll be Lexington. But North Myrtle Beach seems possible. No. Yeah, I don't know. I'm at this point just going through all the county seats. Oh, it is Lexington. Wow. That's where my wife is from. Wow, Lexington would not have been on this list 20 years ago. Wow, okay. That's about a half an hour west of Columbia. About the time I was living there, it's kind of starting to be sucked in by the metro area of Columbia. So it's a lot of growth between there. U.S. bordering states with a greatest area. I don't know what these blackout things mean. First choose any state, then fill in 100. Whoa, okay, that sounds like take a while. Any state, then fill in 100 squares with cities from that state based on the categories. For example, if oh, okay. I think that might be a long one. High points by state. I'm not too good at this. Oh, you'd have to name it. I was thinking the other way around. It gives you the name, guess the elevation. All right, well, I'll try this one. Denali. Alabama is Cheeha. Arkansas is Magazine. Arizona, I don't know. California is Whitney. Colorado is Elbert. Connecticut, I have no idea. Elbright is Delaware. Elbright Azimuth or something like that. What? Isn't that what it's called? Elbright Azimuth? Alright, whatever. Florida. I don't know what the name of Florida's one is. Is it Timmins Hill? Something is Timmins Hill, I thought. No? Georgia is Brasstown Bald. Hawaii is Mauna Kea. Iowa. I have no clue what Iowa. Kansas is Sunflower Hill. Oh, Mount Sunflower. Okay. Kentucky. I don't know if Kentucky's. I know where it is. Louisiana. That's. Yeah, Massachusetts. I don't know a lot of these now in a row. Maryland is something in the Panhandle on the West Virginia border. All right. Well, Maine is Katahdin. Michigan is, I don't know, Eagle for Minnesota. Michigan is, it's not called Porcupine Mountain, but it's in the Porcupine Mountains. Yeah, after I'm stuck, I'll look over at chat. I'm kind of not looking over at chat right now, but all right, North Carolina is Mount Mitchell. North Dakota is White Butte. Nebraska is Panorama Point. Oh, Panorama. Maybe that's if I could spell. New Hampshire is Washington. New Jersey, I don't know. New Mexico is Wheeler. Nevada, Boundary Peak. New York, Marcy. Ohio, I have no idea. Oklahoma's Black Mesa. Whoops. Wait, what? Oregon is Hood. I don't know if Pennsylvania's. Or Rhode Island. South Carolina's is Table Mountain. Oh, no, it's not. Sassafras Mountain. South Dakota. I don't know the name of South Dakota's peak. It's not. I don't know what it's called. Tennessee is Klingman's. Klingman's Dome. Texas is Guadalupe. Utah. I don't know Utah's. Virginia's is Rogers. Vermont. I don't think I know Vermont either. Washington is Rainier. Wait, it's not Rainier? Oh, I can't spell it. It requires being able to spell. Wisconsin's is no idea. West Virginia. Oh, I can't even think of theirs. And then Wyoming. Man. All right, that's a lot that I don't know. All right, I'm going to go to chat now. What you guys got? High Point, New Jersey. It's literally called High Point, New Jersey. Yeah, I would have never gotten that. Campbell Hill yeah, I wouldn't have gotten that one either. Yeah, the ones that are like, oh, I knew Missouri, Tom Sock. I just skipped over that. I knew that one actually. What is it? How do you have to type it in? Oh, how do you spell it? Okay, I actually did know that one. Mount Arvin, Michigan. That doesn't even sound familiar. That of the other ones, I at least sound familiar. That one. Actually, why am I doing this? I shouldn't be counting this. I'm not getting them right myself. I'm cheating. I'm not going to be typing them in. That's totally wrong. I'm totally cheating. Bear Mountain, Connecticut. Yeah. Timms Hill, Spruce Knob. I knew Spruce Knob. Man, that's bad. Humphreys Peak, Arizona. Yeah, I did know these. All right, so let's go. So 20 hardest. All right, so let's end the quiz and let's look at the 20 hardest. Ebright Azimuth. I was putting Elbright Azimuth. Britain. I was thinking Timmins Hill. I don't know what I was thinking there. Hawkeye Point. That was easy to remember. Charles Mound. Yeah, I didn't know Hoosier Hill. Another one you could just easily guess. Hoy Crest. Yeah, I knew a lot of these. Yeah. All right. So what were the number one missed was Alabama's? Really? Probably because people can't spell it. I bet people putting in Cheeheha and to get it because it's Cheehaw. So I can see that one, people knowing it. Jack, thank you very much. I appreciate it. The tip jar. It's awful kind to you. Oh, okay. Hardest are the ones I got, and then the 20 missed. Okay, I got it. So, yeah, everyone got, yeah, okay. 98% got Denali. So that means somebody out there. Only 82% got Mount Whitney. That's surprising. Of course, most of these are pretty low, actually. Yeah, this isn't something I think that too many people know a whole lot. U.S. interstate highway cities. I mean, I could be doing this like all night. I could just be on this forever. Type in an interstate, choose from the drop, and then name all the cities based on the following rules. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, let's just pick 80. Type in choose it from the drop, and then name all the cities along that highway based on the following rules. I'm not quite. Yeah, I'm slow with. Name all the cities along the highway based on the following rules. 100,000 plus city. Centroid of the city within 10 miles. Okay. Okay. All right, so this is I-80. So this, I guess, starts from... Okay, so I-80. Wait, so this is really interesting because number 5 is San Francisco, right? So where does it go before San Francisco? I don't think I understand this. Oh, okay, I got it. I-280 is... Okay, got it. All right. So I-80... all right, so let's just go Reno, Sacramento, Oakland, Vallejo, Salt Lake City, I-80 Omaha, Lincoln, Des Moines, I don't understand what this is. Yeah, I really don't understand this thing. So thank you very much, Douglas. I appreciate the super chat. I'm not understanding like the order of this, why it's... Yeah, all right. Anyway, Laramie, Rock Springs, Green River, Evanston. Got North Platte. I'm going to go through Nebraska now. I cannot spell, cannot type. So it doesn't go super small. What's the smallest one on here? 11,000, 8,000? I wonder if 8,000 is Winnemucca. All right, so, all right. Roseville, Auburn, Davis, West Sacramento, whoops, Vacaville, Fairfield. I'm not sure actually where I-80 goes between Oakland and Vallejo. I'm not sure what it goes through, so but it needs to be within 5 miles. I'm not going to guess too many of those, but I will guess Rockland. All right, so let's go into Iowa. Council Bluffs, Iowa City, I think West Des Moines. West Des Moines doesn't show up on here. Does it count? Maybe it doesn't count. Urbandale, Illinois, or Iowa. Davenport, Bettendorf. No Bettendorf. No Moline. No Rock Island. What am I doing here? Something's wrong here, obviously. So it has Gary. Oh, okay, now I'm seeing it. The problem with these quizzes is I'm just too dumb to figure out how to actually do them in the first place. Once I can figure out the geography of them, then I can do it, but man, okay, so wow, there's a lot of cities on here. I could be doing this all night. Okay, so these are all the California ones. Wow. Okay, this will be a long thing. Yeah, I'm just going to be going through all the Bay Area cities. I mean, yeah, there's 600. Yeah, this is crazy. I'm not going to do all this. I'm going to have to come back to this one at some point. I could be here on this quiz for like hours. I could probably get most of them though, I think, because, well, maybe not most of them. I can get quite a few of them. Once you get to New Jersey, I'd have some issues. Yeah. Let's do some Pennsylvania here. Yeah, State College I don't think is close enough. Clarion is not close enough. Mercer. I need to go back to where those are. Williamsport, Gary. So Mercer was not one of them. State College, I think, is too far. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna have to come back into this one. This one's like a really, really long one. So, yeah, but this website, this is a lot of fun. I could just, man. So if you guys are into geography, do check out this website. And I see that the huge quiz is in the chat. I'm not sponsored this at all, so this is just I'm having fun with this. Just doing this on my own. Man, there's so many. Just the number of categories is almost overwhelming. Yeah, I'm gonna I'll do more live streams of this, and I'll figure out why I'm not getting my beautiful, gorgeous face in the corner of this thing. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I'll figure that out for the next one. But for this one, I'll do one more quiz, and then at 7 I'll start doing question and answer. So let's see, counties, county seats. Nah. Yeah, Bill, I'm just all over the place. I'm just like scatterbrained when you have that many options of things to do. Yeah, if I did a different interstate, it would be I shouldn't have gone with literally one of the most difficult ones. All right. All right, so let me think of what would be one last good one to do. Something that would be kind of short. U.S. largest counties by population. Oh, this is actually quite easy. All right, so Los Angeles, Cook, Harris. I did kind of like this one already, so I'm not going to do this one again. That's pretty similar to the one I did before. Least guessed counties by state. Oh, wow. How would you even know? So it'd be some little... Wow. All right, so I'm going to say Cleburne. How do you enter it, though? There's no way I could know this. To know the actual very last one. Wow. So for California, I would guess maybe Plumas or Alpine. I don't know how. All right, I think this would be way too hard. So U.S. state highway signs. Huh. Wow, right off the bat, no clue. Absolutely no clue. That's so generic. No clue. Can I skip? Next. Okay. Wow. Yeah, I'm going to do awful at this. Well, I'm going to assume that one's New Hampshire. Oh, it's not. So that's not New Hampshire. Wow. I'm doing wonderful with this one. Wow. This is yeah, I shouldn't have done this one. Well, there's one I can get. Wait a minute. That's definitely Minnesota. Oh, use the state Wow, guys. I have officially, completely, utterly lost my mind. So that was New Hampshire then. I just got it wrong. Some of these are just so generic. Oh. No. Wow. Well, there we go. I know that one. Oh, here we go. It's a tough one there. The ones with the state shape I can do. The ones that's just a circle. back to it. Wow, there we go. I can get those. There's several that are like that one. How do you know which ones? Ooh. That one doesn't look familiar. That must be a state I don't go to very often. Man, there are a lot like that. I don't know. That is Pennsylvania. It's like a guitar pick. I don't know. I don't know any of that's California. I know that one. Is there something about those square ones where there's a way to actually know? Like those last two have been really similar. So how would you know? That one it normally would have the state written across that top part. I don't know which one it is. This is where you need Chicago geographer doing this, because GeoGuessr players are good at this. That's one of the ways they... Oops. Yeah, I'm at the point where I'm probably it's just going to be all these square ones that I have no clue. Who has... I don't know. Yeah, the only ones I can get are the ones where it's the shape of the state. That's not Florida? What would that be if that's not Florida? Wait, what? Wait. I think I've lost my mind here. This is not... This has to be Florida. All right. I can't do... I think it frees up. It's not letting me go next either. Yeah, that's definitely Florida. Oh, it's timed. Man. All right. Well, that was pretty fun. I didn't do very good, though. I thought I would do better than that. That's actually pretty bad, honestly. Let's do state flag image blackout before. I got one little quick one I can do. Okay. Iowa. This one. Hawaii. This one. Illinois is white background. Rhode Island, New York. It's one of those ones with just the blue think something. I don't know which one it is. Okay, I don't think you can go next on this, can you? No. I don't know. New York. It was that one. Wow. Okay. Oregon. Oh, that was incorrect. Oregon's got the beaver on one side and this on the other side. Mississippi's new one looks pretty cool. Indiana's looks like a children's hospital thing right there. Colorado is really nice. Louisiana's got the pelican. Where is it? New Mexico, the best flag right there. South Dakota is one of the boring ones. This one, incorrect. California. Kentucky is one of the worst. It's got two dudes shaking hands. Looks really dumb. Where is it though? Oh, it's this one. No, that's... Wait, what? Oh, it's out. Which one was Kentucky? I thought that was Kentucky. Because I thought it was the one... Oh, it's right here. Yeah, the two dudes. All right, so that was a lot of fun. I'm going to go back to this and All right, so gonna go to some regular Q&A stuff here. That was a lot of fun. So huge quiz. Yeah, I just found this out a couple days ago. A lot of fun. So I'll be messing around with this a lot more, and I'll probably do one of these again. I'm not a huge fan of GeoGuessr. It gets like you do this a lot with your hand. My wrist hurts. I actually had to have physical therapy on my shoulder from playing GeoGuessr too much, just to hurt. So so I like this a lot too. So. Yeah, those are some pretty generic state highway signs. I wouldn't have gotten most of those. So, yeah, Justin, I don't know where I got this shirt. My parents, I think, or my wife, somebody gave it to me years ago. I don't know where it came from. Being it was from my parents or my wife, it probably wasn't coming from the most obscure place you can think of. So, probably from Amazon or something like that, I would think. All right, so we don't. All right, well, you don't have any questions. That's cool. So a lot of times I do these live streams, and it's just I can't even keep up with everything. So, I'll just go back and do some more quizzes, and that's pretty cool. Drew, I'm not sure when I'll be in Milwaukee next. I was there recently. So it probably won't be for a while, honestly. It's not going to be one of my upcoming ones. And plus, with it getting to the being winter, my travels from this point for the next several months are going to be south of here. So there'll be some Atlanta, Memphis, New Orleans, going into Texas, Arizona kind of stuff is where I'm going to be the next several months. But yeah, so I'll announce the actual places I'm going to be for the quiz on the streets. The next one will be while I'm on a road trip. I'm going to probably do 3 or 4 on that same trip and then space out the release of the quizzes. So, yeah, so I have some other big travel coming up next month. I'll announce pretty soon. There's some big exotic world travel coming up in a few months that I'll announce pretty soon. I'm really excited about my first just huge solo world exotic trip. Yeah, so I'll announce that soon. My favorite national park, I mean, I like them all. I'm definitely partial to the West. And so the busier, I would say probably Yellowstone, unless it's just a busy time of the year when it's so crowded. And I would like maybe Theodore Roosevelt in North Dakota as one of my favorite ones. South Georgia, I've actually been trying to get to South Georgia the past few weeks for a canoe trip. A lot of great water spots, but it's been so dry. It's like we're in a drought right now. It hasn't even rained in Chattanooga in I think like a month. That's a long time for no rain here. And South Georgia's been pretty dry too. So I think it's supposed to be rain next week, and I'll maybe get a trip down to the swamp or areas in South Georgia where I like to paddle in the wintertime. Mags, yeah, I would certainly go to Pittsburgh I will go anywhere for this quiz on the streets. Some cities, Pittsburgh would be a good one. I'd probably go to, I don't know, the best foot traffic would be the Strip District, but you get a lot of tourists there too, so I don't know. But if it would, for Pittsburgh, it'd likely be in the spring because I'm not going to be going up there for the next few months. And Dennis, I do have a plan to be in San Diego on this next road trip. I'll be stopping in California. I'm not sure exactly where. I was in San Diego a couple of years ago, but didn't do any content on it. I was just there for my wife was there for work. I was just tagging along. Next live stream, I don't know. I like doing these. I could do these a long time. I think I have like the longest live streams on YouTube outside of gaming channels. Gamers will go hours and hours, but mine often go 3 hours. I could just always do this. But with that quiz, that's a lot of fun. I might want to do one of those again, and just other stuff like that. I'd also like to perhaps, there's some other stuff I want to announce I want to do on live streams, just based on not just quizzes, but other kind of interactive type things. Douglas, thank you very much for the super chat. Yeah, I think I will be in DC for one of those. I'm going to do about 10 or so before I do get the 10 winners together to do a kind of a finals playoffs type thing. And so I want DC to be one of them. I want to be not like on the mall where it'd be all tourists, but I don't know if I'd be able to do this, but get kind of like congressional aides and people that are, working in the thick of it in DC, see if I can get them to make fools of themselves. But I doubt, think how great it would be if I could go office to office in the Capitol building and get some of these members of Congress doing that. I doubt any of them would want to be on record doing that, but but I would like to do DC for one of those as one of the top spots. Now we got some East Texas. Asa, the Northwest is the part of the country you've probably heard me speak about the least, because that's the part that it's been the longest since I've been there. In fact, I've only been to Seattle one time, and it was 20 years ago. So you think about how much has changed there. I don't feel comfortable talking about Seattle because it's been so long. And Portland, the same thing. It was the same trip where I went to both of those, and it's been that long since I've been to either one. So I try to stay away from talking about places I haven't at least been to in a while. So those two were, for Portland, I missed the whole, it was kind of weird, and it kind of got really popular and cool and hipster, and that kind of lost that. So I missed the whole, when it was like the peak of its hipster years. So I'd be curious about Portland. I know a couple of geography friends that went there recently, and they're like, it's not what it used to be. It's pretty rough in the downtown. So it's just kind of weird that it's not too many. I think I mentioned this on another live stream, but I think it's maybe the only city in the country where the CBD, the Central Business District, is the worst part of town. It's like the highest crime right but yeah, I haven't been there in so long. I don't want to talk too much about it. But in terms of the Northwest, I do like the national parks and the Oregon, the Coast Drive. I love that a lot. Drew, I do almost always try the foods where I go. I always want to have the local traditional things, the cliche things, and even if it's kind of touristy, I try to at least have some of the, what is the stuff you think about when you think about certain places. But if I'm going to be somewhere for multiple days, I'll want to probably go somewhere, have the typical cliche stuff, but then also just go to somewhere that's really good, regardless of it being a local delicacy type thing. Yeah, Ryan Hall he's a meteorologist, so when there's something going on, there's a hurricane, they can get going. That the adrenaline of meteorologists when there's a big event going on can be serious. You don't want to be like rooting for a hurricane, hoping for a hurricane, but just when you are kind of in that mode of things happening, it can be okay. Yeah, Road Guy Rob, I like him a lot. He's one of my favorite channels. Actually, I saw something he posted about a week or so ago. There's been a thing on people on TikTok taking acting like they're somebody on YouTube who doesn't have a TikTok account. So Road Guy Rob doesn't have TikTok. Somebody was set up Road Guy Rob on TikTok and linked everything from his YouTube to them. And he couldn't complain because he isn't on TikTok. He couldn't claim that somebody was trying to be him, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to set up TikTok, and I'm not going to do it, but just to have, so if somebody tries to use my logo or whatever, I can say that's not really them, but I have no intention of actually using TikTok. Dream politician to have on the street, any of the celebrity ones, any of the celebrity members of Congress, I I just think it's hilarious that some want to just always be on camera, like, look at me, like you're a member of Congress, you're not Hollywood here. Yeah, Big Bend National Park. I have been there a couple times. I like it a lot, and this road trip I do will probably take me through there because when it gets to the middle of winter, I like to do the Mexican border route on road trips, and that's a spot to stop. Really nice spot to go hiking. I wouldn't want to be there in the summertime, but in the winter, it's really, really nice. It's not very well visited. Zamory, curious as to why he said Illinois was the most populous state not on a border. Yeah, so what it is you think of the most populous states. California has international border, Texas, Florida, New York borders Canada. So Florida borders both Bahamas and Cuba. And so you have also international waters off of the Atlantic Ocean. So Illinois is the most populous state that doesn't have any kind of international border. Pennsylvania has a tiny little thing, Erie. Actually, Pennsylvania borders Canada, which is a kind of a trivia question there. But yeah, so that's why the answer for that is Illinois. No, it's Lazier. Thank you very much. Yeah, I have friends in LA. I'll visit, but I usually don't go to LA as like to just to go and I lived there I went to college there. That was a long time ago, but it's not somewhere I go to too often because it's a big deal for me to get back to California to visit family and friends, and so most of my family and friends are several hours north of LA, so it's hard to get down there. It's not as close as you might think. It'd be kind of like having you're from Dallas and you have family in San Antonio. It's not that close really, um, but yeah, I do like San Diego. It's one of those places where it's a Sunbelt city, so it doesn't have great urbanism. I don't think a lot of the city planner people would say it's a great city it's still kind of a Sunbelt city. It's car dependent, but it's San Diego. The weather's so nice, you can walk, and it's not as bad as walking in other cities that are bad for walking. Even though from a design standpoint, San Diego is not very good for walking. Have I ever stayed in the Airbnb? I have before, but I usually don't. I've only stayed at one where we've had several people and we got a house. But in terms of if we go somewhere, get a hotel, we're gonna get we'll get a hotel. We're not gonna get an Airbnb. If it was like maybe like a cabin or something for a week and several people, but I don't use Airbnb in cities. I don't know much about Forrest Gump, Josh. I know what it is. I mean, I never actually saw it, so I don't know what places they go to. Drew, I don't really have any interest to visit every county in the country. I'm not really one for just checking things off just for the heck of it. So there are plenty of states where I've missed certain parts of the state, but I'm not gonna just go there just to see how many counties I can visit. Um, yeah, I do like to drive back roads and see new places, but I'm not actively going to check places off. Uh, I've never had New Haven style pizza. When I was up there, everybody was saying try it, make sure you have it. But no, I did not. I'm not sure exactly what it is, what the style is, but I did not have it when I was there. Connor, I don't know when I'll get to Alaska and Hawaii. I'd love to. Those are, the only two states I haven't been to. So yeah, it'd be something I would love to do, but just hasn't worked out time wise. I mean, Hawaii is a long flight from the East Coast. If you're from California, it's a few hours, but if you're from here, it's several hours across the U.S. and several more hours across the Pacific. So that's a long flight. From here, at that same distance, we can be in Morocco or um, other places across the Atlantic. I have not played City Skylines 2. Um, Honestly, I think if I started playing it, I would just play it too much and almost get like hooked on it. So I don't even really want to start it. Um, I would have a lot of fun with it, but I haven't played it. Um, uh, States I just pass through to get to another one. I always try to stop wherever, if I'm on a trip. I'll try to stop as many places as I can within reason. But sometimes you might be going through an area, you just hit the corner of a state. You're not really going through the entire state. Um, but I'm not actively trying to avoid anything. Uh, so I mean, they can all be good. There are some states that I made a mention of Western Kansas can be kind of boring to drive across. It's several hours and it can get kind of boring. I-80 across Nebraska is pretty bad. I-90 across Minnesota. Um, but if I'm in spots like that, I'm still going to stop somewhere. It's just um, I'm not going to just drive. I don't drive like 12-hour days or long days. I try to limit it so I can at least get out a few times to walk around and not just be on the road the entire day. Bear Paws, you got your first snow of the year in Anchorage. You know what's crazy? Halloween night here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, it was overnight low was below freezing and it was a little bit cloudy. I'm thinking we could have technically gotten a little bit of snow on Halloween in Tennessee, which would have been insane, but it was really cold that night. Um, Spencer, the western desert of Utah. I haven't spent a whole lot of time there. I've driven across US 50 going from Fallon, Nevada, all the way to wherever it goes in Utah, close to where it meets up with I-70, the beginning of that. But I haven't done any camping or hiking in that part. That's desolate. That's one of the most desolate parts of the country, east central Nevada and west central Utah. That's thick. So if you're out there, you better make sure you're gassed up. Um, but yeah, it's a beautiful. It's sparsely beautiful, and when you drive across I-80, um, the Great Salt Flats, that's really cool. You can pull over. There's all the spots. There's rocks out there. People do the rock art. Um, but yeah, it's a very different type scenery. So if you're thinking Utah, you're thinking high mountains or maybe arches and canyons. But that Salt Lake, that western, it's beautifully sparse, I guess you could say. John, the most interesting historical marker, I don't know for sure. Yeah, I don't know if I can think of one right now in terms of just stumbled upon one. Usually, it's something I'm looking for, and like there's a specific spot that's a few miles up. But in terms of just randomly stumbling upon something I didn't know, I can't really think of anything off the bat. Rick, I do not have a real job. I mean, I think this is a real job. It's a lot of work, but it's not a. I don't have a job where I commute and do, um, you know, office stuff or anything other than this. I started this channel after I got laid off from work in 2016. I was bummed. I applied for a million jobs and got nothing. I was just kind of, down in the dumps of, man, I can't even get these crappy jobs. Just started this channel and it just eventually took off. And then, of course, the thing about doing YouTube, you see people, they quit their day jobs and they do YouTube, but it's like, it's not going to last that long. I mean, how long is it you're going to be popular on YouTube? 5, 10 years at the most, and then what are you going to do? What's your resume going to be when you got to get back out there? Well, I was on YouTube for 10 years, and that's not going to probably get you very far. um, yeah, actually, I'm not sure if this is a lizard or a salamander. I think it's supposed to be a lizard, but yeah, I love salamanders and lizards. El Greco, yeah, I'd like to live in California. Right now, it's just too expensive. I mean, you could be like, even if my wife and I were kind of rich, we couldn't afford to move to the coast. I mean, it's crazy to think that, like, say I was a dentist and my wife's an accountant or something, we're doing pretty well. We couldn't afford to move to Monterey or Santa Barbara. There's no way we could afford to rent a place there, but we couldn't. It's crazy. I don't see how y'all do it. I think it's mainly from the people that are doing well in California bought their house more than 15 years ago when they were reasonable, and so they're able to pay a mortgage on that. But if you've tried to buy a house in the past 10 years, it's going to be pretty rough. And but yeah, I'd like to go back. The cheaper parts of the state it's gotten to the point where the interior parts are cheaper now, or about the same as a lot of the South, and that was kind of a draw for people to leave the coast of California to go to the South, because the South was cheaper than interior California. But that's not that case anymore. Nashville's really expensive. Chattanooga's, it kind of slowed down a little bit. It was looking like it was going to get pretty crazy. A lot of growth, but it's actually kind of slowed down a lot with growth here. But I would like to move back. But I'd also like to live in a lot of other places too. So I wouldn't go back to where I'm from, that part of the state. I mean, I'm from there. I'm done with it. I'll go back to visit, but I don't want to live there anymore. Bray, I would like to do international. I like talking about countries and foreign places as well, but with a lot of other things to do on the channel, I try to stick to what I've just recently visited or something I'm much more familiar with. And so, I'm not just trying to post the videos that will get the most views, but if I post something that's not about the US, it always gets significantly fewer views. And you look at other channels in the genre, when they do something outside the US, it really doesn't get anywhere near as much interest. But well, like I said, I have a big exotic trip coming up in a few months, so there'll be some hopefully good exotic content. I hope to do a little bit of I'm not going where I'm going for content, but there's no way I could be there without doing something. Yeah, happy-go-lucky. Yeah, with the state profiles, what I'm going to probably do from now on is what I did with the last one. Just give 4 examples or 4 options, and the one that gets the most votes, I'll do. So it'll be Arkansas coming up in a couple of weeks or so, and then I'll put another poll out there, which one you want to see next, and we'll see. Mississippi got some votes in the last one. It's one of the states that I would consider as the ones coming up as I look more towards the South in the winter. I don't know if I'll be able to do a state profile on every state. Certain ones like California, I wouldn't do a state profile on the state. There's a lot of other ones where, like I probably wouldn't do one on New Mexico. I've talked a lot about New Mexico. I did one for Texas, but it's hard to do ones for just huge states. I had to go over, skip a lot of stuff. So I do plan on doing more, but I don't know if I'll ever get to all of them. Caitlin, the bats, that's a symbol for the National Speleological Society. It's the National Cave Organization. So you may occasionally see that sticker it's usually a bumper sticker on cars, kind of like a way to, I'm a caver, you're a caver. You're more likely to see them around this part of the country, but you might see them a little bit other places. But you'll mainly see them in Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky. That's where you see the most caves. Yeah, Spencer, I'd love to do the Canadian Maritimes. I thought about going over there when I was up in Maine last time, but it just didn't really work out. But yeah, I would like to go out to Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, go to PEI, but yeah, I'd love to see it. It just hasn't happened yet. But I do plan on another bit of Canadian, pretty big Canadian content perhaps next year in the summer, and I got something planned. So, the next year is going to be a lot of a lot of travel for me. I'm going to be gone a lot, so we'll see how I can keep up with the channel. But bear paws, not that kind of exotic. It's not going to be tropical beach exotic. It'll be fun, but we're going somewhere tropical beach next month. But the one in February is not that kind of place. Oh, Brando. I just posted my first video on the California channel, and it was just a real kind of dry overview of the counties. And I'm going to do something about once a month about different topics. So the first one's going to be about, there's some new towns. They're talking about building a couple of spots with a new town from scratch. So I'm going to be talking about those. There's been some actual serious discussion in a few different parts of the state. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Other stuff about water, economy and housing stuff. And but it's not going to take away from this channel. It's definitely secondary channel, and I don't want it to take any time away. I don't want anything I do there to affect or to have an impact on what I do here. Yeah, Josh, Ohio is actually a state where I probably won't do a state profile because it's just too much to cover. So I've been piecemealing Ohio stuff a little bit. So I might do one like, I don't know. It wouldn't be a full state profile because I wouldn't be able to give it the same detail with some of the smaller states. So, but yeah, I do have something coming up on just Cincinnati alone. But we'll have to see about an overall Ohio state thing. All right, Drew, hope you have a good time in New Mexico. Yeah, Santa Fe, great. Albuquerque, I mean, a lot of people hate on Albuquerque because it's got some major issues with gangs, but I mean, a lot of the cities do. But I like Albuquerque. Santa Fe is really nice this time of year. Roswell is interesting, but it's not. It's kind of tourist trap, but that's all right. They have a weird McDonald's there. It's shaped like a UFO. For whatever reason, there's only like 4 or 5 McDonald's in the world. They're allowed to be something really weird other than their main thing, and somehow Roswell, New Mexico, is one of them. Yeah, I need to have lunch with Sarah again. It's been a while. Yeah. Yeah, I was just in Ontario. I'm assuming you mean Ontario, Canada. I was just there a few months ago in Toronto. I really enjoyed it, and I'll be back up around that part of the world and next summer, like I was saying. So, Dawn, circle tour of Lake Superior. That's something similar. We'll have an announcement like that coming up. But yeah, we'll be spending some time in the Great Lakes region in the reasonable near future. Best hippie town in America? I mean, hippies are in danger. There aren't that many hippie towns left. 20 years ago, you could go places. There were still plenty of old hippies, but I think a lot of the old hippies' kids are hipsters, and there's a difference between the hippies and the hipsters. But I mean, there are a few holdouts. Santa Cruz, California, Burlington, Vermont. Asheville, North Carolina has gotten kind of hipster, and the hippies go away and the craft beers take over. But there's probably going to be some small towns. I know in British Columbia there's a town called Nelson, I think, that's kind of well known for being a little hippie exclave or enclave. Cave Cookie, yeah, a tour guide at Grand Canyon Caverns. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one, but I know Arizona has some pretty decent caverns. Asa, yeah, actually, the next thing I do is going to be a commentary talk video. So that'll be up actually probably in a few days. But my take on the podcast, it's not going to be like hour and a half long things where there's a guest or anything. I'll probably do some stuff with other people, but I'm not looking to do I'm not trying to be Joe Rogan doing geography. I want it to be more, there'll be shorter videos, but they'll be just commentary, commentary type things. But then once a few are up, maybe get some guests along, but that's not as easy as you think. I thought it'd be a little bit easier to do that. Yeah, hippies make a comeback. Actually, one of my good friends here is an old redneck hippie, and he lives in the middle of nowhere, Alabama. He got long hair. He was, a weird hippie back in the 60s. Think about, probably not too difficult or probably not too easy to be a long-haired hippie guy in Alabama in the 60s, but he's a pretty weird dude. Fairfax, California. Where is Fairfax? I'm not sure where that is. Yeah, I mean, if it's a hippie town, the best ones are going to be ones you don't really know about. I know Garberville was kind of a hippie-ish town for a while. Yeah, I have played GeoGuessr, but I don't do it too often. I mentioned a little bit before, it kind of hurts my shoulder just from doing the mouse too much. But I also am not too big on how it's more about memorizing weird things. Like I watched the GeoGuessr World Championships, and like the thing that they would use are the bollards on the highways. So you think about the sticks and different ways they measure the mileage or whatever on the side of the road. That's what they would use to tell if it was Kazakhstan or Armenia or whatever it was. It's kind of so I'm not too big on playing GeoGuessr, but I do like to watch people that are really good at it, and people that are really good at GeoGuessr are going to be people that are really good at geography, because you learn a lot from GeoGuessr. So when I was playing it, you just learn so much about what places look like. So I love what it is, but I just, from a physical standpoint, hurts my arm. Plus, it gives me a little bit of motion sickness after I've been doing it for a while. If I spin around too much, I get a little motion sick, kind of strange. Oh, yeah, Fairfax near San Rafael. That's right. It's in Marin County. Yeah, it's near San Anselmo, something like that. Doobie Bruh. Yeah, I've mentioned before my least favorite city is Orlando. I'm pretty familiar with it. My wife lived there for a few years before we were married. So I just don't like how spread out it is. I don't know. Las Vegas is quickly becoming perhaps my least favorite. I used to at least like to visit Vegas. I've always hated it from a place to live. But the last time I visited there, I couldn't believe how expensive it was, even within the world of everything being inflated. It was even crazier in Vegas how expensive it was. Thank you, Abraham. I appreciate that. It means a lot. Yeah, I think GeoGuessr is a lot more random memorization, but when I was playing it, seemed like it was very a lot of repeats. Like you would play for an hour and already get some you saw before. So, Spencer. Yeah, Houston. I saw that video sitting there. I kind of am in the same agreement with him in that I don't hate Houston, but I'm not a huge fan of it. But I don't. It gets a lot of hate. I think it's the memes of those 20-lane interstates and I think it gets a lot of those poor urban design memes, but that's not that bad. So I think some of the other Sunbelt cities are not as good. But interesting thing about Houston, believe it or not, with all the growth in Texas, Houston is even losing population right now, which I was surprised to see the latest population updates. I'm like, really, Houston? That's yeah, very much a surprise. Yeah, I mean, I think like 18 states are losing population, which is crazy. But when a place like Houston, even in a fast-growing state, is, I think people are moving out to the Houston suburbs, which are already, pretty far out there. Haunted places in Tennessee. I mean, I'm not big on haunted attractions and haunted locations, but I do know that there are people into it. I know I used to work at a bookstore, and there was a book about haunted places in Tennessee, and it was a pretty thick book. So, but as far as specifics, I don't really know. Although that guy McCamey Manor, if you've heard of that stupid thing, that thing is in Tennessee. It was in California. They kicked him out because it's just crazy dangerous. He went to like Arizona, and then they wouldn't give him a permit. I think Tennessee was like the only state that would take that guy, but that doesn't count as a haunted thing. But that guy's, anyway, crazy. John, how many state capitals have I been to? I've been to 48 states. I think I've been to the capital in all of them. Yeah, I've been to the 48 capitals of the states I've been to. So, Walt Disney World. We went to Disney World when my wife was living there about 15 years ago. No, more than that. I guess more like 18 years ago. And there was nobody there. It was like January. It was a day. There was a big storm expected in the forecast. So we went. There was nobody there. It was so quiet. We ended up riding almost all the rides twice. We go through Space Mountain, get to the end of it, and there wasn't even enough people to fill up the cart, the train for the next one. So they let us go again. It was crazy. Yeah, Marin County is definitely not cheap. San Diego, Texas. I'm not familiar with San Diego, Texas. It's obviously not a very big town, but I'm not sure where it is. Yeah, Missoula. Yeah, Missoula's college town. Got that kind of that younger hippie type feel. But yeah, it's changed. I mean, it's based on the part of the state that's in. A lot of folks are moving there, but I think Bozeman's been a lot worse though. Bozeman's both college town and gateway to Yellowstone, so people want to live there, cabins, celebrity chalets, kind of stuff. Although if you're from Montana and you don't like all the people moving there, you can at least take solace in that it's the number one state for reject. So has the highest reject rate after 1 year of moving there, because people from California, Arizona, Texas are moving to Montana thinking that, oh yeah, we can handle these Montana winters, and they go through one and they're back in California, Arizona, and Texas. Yeah, so good news for Montana on that. A lot of people leave. They can't. I couldn't live there. Spencer, dream canoe trip. Yeah, I do have a lot of dream canoe trips. The Kobuk River in Alaska would be huge. Any of the rivers in the Northwest Territories in Canada. I mean, those are just, yeah, I would love to do almost any of those. The Wind River, Nahanni, those are just great. I would love to do the 99-mile loop around Everglades National Park. I probably never will. That's a week and a half type trip, but that'd be a nice one. Isle Royale National Park in Lake Superior would be another good one too. The worst capital city. Trenton's pretty bad. I did a worst capital cities video a long time, probably a good 5 years ago. I think Trenton was number one, and I don't think they've done anything to get out of being number one. Its place is pretty gnarly. Michael, a lot of Californians in Denver. I mean, I always thought that was kind of interesting because Denver isn't that much cheaper. So if you're leaving California for money reasons, I mean, Denver's not the place I would go to. In fact, a lot of California is cheaper than Denver, but it's going to be cheaper than LA or San Francisco. But I mean, I do like Denver, but I think the growth has slowed down a little bit. The growth, the population decline in California has slowed. I think most of the folks that wanted to go are gone from pandemic stuff. And um, yeah, I don't know. I saw that. Hold on a second. I saw that I think it's like a 0.1% population decline for California over the past several months, which is low for what they've been going through the past few years. Um, yeah, I mean, I remember back in the 90s and 2000s, people from Colorado were moving to California a lot. And I mean, I don't know. I don't think Californians get, I mean, they hate Californians when they move somewhere, but it wasn't the same when everybody was moving there in the 90s. When actually, that's one of my next videos coming up will be on that. Kind of how people kind of blame Californians for so much. I saw something in Tennessee where people blame California for a lot, and it was like, I think 0.6% of the population of Tennessee is like people that have moved from California in the past 10 years. I mean, 0.6%. And that get blamed for a lot, though. Stanley, the most ecological clean state. I don't even know how I would answer that. Probably just Vermont, being how rural it is, and tend to be kind of the most hippiest type state. So that would be my guess. But I mean, Alaska probably has the most pristine water. I'm sure there's a lot of rivers in Alaska you could just drink straight from it. But with all the oil, there's probably a lot of not so nice stuff there too. Sparkleberry. Yeah, I haven't been back to Columbia in a while. My wife and I were talking about going to Charleston, and we would certainly stop in Columbia. She has, her friends are still there. And actually, we were just talking about why is Columbia never mentioned on anything? Like, you hear about people moving to this city, that city, these states, and South Carolina is growing a lot, but you never hear about Columbia. It's always Greenville, Charleston, and the Conway, Myrtle Beach area. But I liked Columbia living there. It's cheap. The nicest parts of town are not really expensive. It's like the part of town called Shandon is reasonable for what parts of town like that cost in other cities. So yeah, I liked Columbia. I liked how it was close to the beach, or hour and a half to the beach, hour and a half to the mountains. But yeah, if I went to Columbia to do a geography quiz, I don't know where I'd go. I guess the Congaree Vista. It's kind of like an entertainment district, but Justin, southwestern Nebraska. Yeah, I like northwestern Nebraska, but southwestern Nebraska is a little bit. That's pretty boring. You catch I-80 across the state. It's not the best drive for getting your blood pumping. But that's why I started driving through northwest Nebraska, the back roads, because I-80 was so boring. I was like, well, see what it's like up here. Probably 15 years ago, I was like, this is really nice, and it's become one of my favorite rural parts of the country. The Peace River in Florida, I'm not familiar where that is. I want to do some of the rivers in the Panhandle that flow north to south into the Gulf, but I'm not sure where the Peace River is. My favorite city that's losing population. I mean, most of them are losing population, and so I don't know. For me, one thing that's disturbing is that most cities, I mean, maybe not most, but a good chunk of them are losing population, and most rural areas are losing population. So people are leaving the cities, they're leaving the rural areas, and everyone's going to suburbs. And I mean, I don't know. I think these are kind of the same mistakes we made back in the 1950s and 60s to abandon cities and rural areas for suburbs. So maybe it'll be different this time. But yeah, the Chattanooga suburbs are growing a lot. The city has slowed down. Like I was saying, Houston has lost population now. I mean, a lot of cities that are, the suburbs are growing, but the interior city is going down. I think Portland is losing population now. Portland, Oregon. Plus, I think all the Rust Belt cities are still losing population. I don't think they've ever really picked up. But I mean, I tend to like the ones losing population more than the Sunbelt ones. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I like Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh's losing. I think Cincinnati's losing population. St. Louis. I think those three are some of my three favorites. They're very similar. Pittsburgh, Cincy, St. Louis, like same size, industrial river cities. Um, I like Buffalo too, but Buffalo, those winters, like that's I could do St. Louis or Cincinnati, but I couldn't do Buffalo. The coldest temperature I've been in is actually Greenville, South Carolina. It was 0 degrees. I mean, of all places in Greenville. But yeah, I was working for state emergency management. There was a crazy freeze back in '03 or something, and it was exactly 0 degrees outside. And I stepped outside in t-shirt and shorts to see what it'd be like, and it was cold. It was real cold. The worst road infrastructure. Man, it's tough to say. Generally speaking, the northern states are going to have the worst roads because you have the freeze thaw. And so most of the northern states have high gas taxes and worse roads because you're always having to fight the freeze thaw. So you're having to put more money into it and they don't look as good. And so I think New Jersey probably has the best roads of the cold weather states I can think of. And Alabama has awful roads, and they don't have the freeze thaw. It's just they don't put any money into it. So you're a lot of washboard driving in Alabama. Kind of like when you're here and we're near the Alabama border, you're on a back road. You can tell immediately when you hit the state line. A lot of the state highways in Alabama are dirt. It's got dirt state highways there still. Let's see where I'm at. Do I like college towns? I do. I think for college towns, though, you kind of have to be in with the college. I think if you were to live in a place like, I don't know, Bloomington, Indiana, or I don't know, Champaign, Illinois, or Pullman, Washington, whatever the town is, you need to kind of be rah-rah, with the school and like wear the school colors and be involved with it because everything's going to be about the university. One of my good friends grew up in State College, Pennsylvania, which is the town for Penn State. And man, everything in town is blue and white. Penn State, everything is just the college. So if you're not down with the college stuff, it can be almost like you're outcast, but kind of like you're not included with a lot of the parties and the tailgates and things like that. But I do like the college towns. They do tend to be, less poverty, like nicer, I guess, because you have a lot of professors, a lot of higher end positions, a lot of medical stuff and research labs are attached to the university in those towns. So they can be nice, but they can also be kind of snobby too. Some of them are, they can be almost like annoying that there's just like, oh, we're better than you kind of feel. And Ithaca, New York kind of has that, nose in the air kind of feel to it. But yeah, I mean, Ithaca's a nice town. It's nicer than the other towns around it. It's nicer than Rome or Elmira. So, but yeah, but for me, I count a college town as something where has to be kind of small. I wouldn't count like Madison, Wisconsin as a college town because it's 500,000 people and it's a state capital. So there's a lot more going on than just a college. So even though it's big university town, it's not really a college town because it's not the number one thing. But anyway, yeah, BB, I know that's kind of how it is in a lot of places. Like New England, everyone picks on Massachusetts. In the Midwest, it's always Illinois. In the West, it's California. And Oklahoma hates Texas. So everybody always hates the bigger state. It's kind of like, you think back in the 2000s, everybody hated the New England Patriots, but nobody hated the Jacksonville Jaguars. Nobody hates the teams that aren't good. So you always hate, the bigger ones. So I mean, nobody's in New England, hating on Rhode Island and Vermont. Of course, they're going to be hating on Massachusetts. But so I think it's just part of it, and you hear a lot of it. I think you hear most of it with the Midwest seems to hate Illinois more than other parts of the country hate their big state. So I'm not sure why that is, but yeah. I mean, yeah, Michael, I don't know about, what states California has moved to. I mean, it's such a big state. I think part of it also is that there's so many people there. There're going to be people in your state from there. So, but I think generally it's going to be states that are, warmer temperature. Californians are, I mean, like me, we're wimps. We don't do cold. I mean, 40 degrees is cold in California. So I don't think too many are moving to, the Midwest and Northeast. I mean, there's always, but this going to be people moving places, but I think mainly it's going to be the South. Um, Texas, I mean, Tennessee, I mean, not so much here. There were a decent number of Californians moving to Chattanooga, but not so much anymore. Mainly Nashville if they're coming to or to Tennessee. Yeah, St. George, Utah is crazy. That's a place that's grown a lot. I think that's one of those places that a lot of people moving there are Californians because you're in the far southwest corner of Utah and you can still be kind of close to LA but be in Utah. And you can be close to Zion and Bryce Canyon, all those national parks, a beautiful area. But Utah isn't a low tax state, so I don't think many Californians are going to move to Utah for tax uh, tax reasons. Nevada for sure, but not so much Utah. Um, but housing is reasonably cheap in southwestern Utah. There's a lot of space, no water. That's one of the you know questions for that part of the country with so much growth and just so little water. Um, yeah, we'll see how long. I mean, something has to happen. There has to come up. Got to find water somewhere. You can't keep growing out there with nothing. Um, okay, I lost where I'm at. All right. Yeah, Texas is still growing. I just did something today about the fastest growing states right now. It's not in the top 10, I don't think anymore, but it's still growing quite a bit. I think Texas's biggest growth was like 2019 to 2021. That kind of the years that straddled the worst of COVID. It's definitely still growing, but it's not as much. Tennessee is growing faster. Florida is growing faster. Washington is still. I'm surprised Washington is still growing so fast. Because that's an example of a state that's expensive that's still growing a lot. So geography quiz in Boston. Probably not for a while because I'm not going to be up there until probably the summer. So um, I'll have the first round of quizzes done before then. So maybe the second season type thing. But um, yeah, I was out in t-shirt and shorts and at 0 degrees for like 10 seconds. I mean, that was about as much as I could take. It was just meant to be stupid. Jump out there and yeah, I it'd have been dangerous for much longer than that. Yeah, I like State College. I've back in my younger days, my friend who lived there, we would go out there and party quite a bit. Did some questionable things in downtown State College. Was it? Is it University Avenue, the main street that has all the bars right across the campus? There was a place called Adam's Apple or something. Original Sin drink or I don't know what it was, but back in the day. Let's see. Spencer, I was up in the Finger Lakes area just a few months ago when I was coming back from New York and Maine. I can't remember where I stayed. I was near Cayuga, Lake Cayuga, somewhere around there. But yeah, I drove kind of the back roads through the Adirondacks. It was really cool, and then into the Finger Lakes area. Really, yeah, really nice. That's a really pretty part of the state. It's not it's pretty rural. That's where a lot of the apples, New York apples, come from. The agricultural part of the state, cheap. Not many jobs there, but it's cheap housing. Yeah, North Carolina is growing a lot. I know a lot of people in the South are moving to North Carolina. North Carolina is becoming kind of like the a popular state for people that are within a southern state but want to stay in the South, but a different state. That's a popular one. Georgia as well. Yeah, North Dakota's growth has been a lot because if you're in North Dakota in the early 2010s, it grew a ton because they had this boom and bust oil, and they knew it was going to be a boom and bust, so they didn't even build permanent housing. You may have heard stories back then where they're just building yurts and just all kinds of tents because it was just is only going to be a few years, and the bust has already come. And I think there's still a part of the far northwest corner of the state where you still have some growth with oil, but most of the rest of the areas around Williston and the areas just east of Theodore Roosevelt National Park is really slowed down. But it's still doing really well. And North Dakota, I think, is one of the top 5 GDP per capita states. So it's a low population, but it has a lot of oil relative to its population size. So its economy is doing pretty well there. Yeah, I'm not sure what the fastest growing part of California is. Bakersfield is growing a lot. It's crazy to think I grew up an hour north of Bakersfield and it was just a dump. We just used to make fun of it. It was just, you know, redneck metro is what it was. But it's because LA is so expensive, people have been moving there and downtown's kind of like, what is this? Downtown's kind of cool. I was like, what? Bakersfield. But the biggest problem for Bakersfield, I think, is the air pollution. If they could deal with that, that would be a big issue because that's the worst thing there. It's pretty gross. But also, people like the desert. I mean, whether it's the California, Arizona, or whatever desert, people are okay with the desert. So Banning and Beaumont in California, um, Kingman, Arizona is growing a lot. So people are okay with those really high temperatures. Sean, I will be in Austin relatively soon, so I'll put a note out when I'm going to be there. Yeah, North Dakota isn't the most packed with tourist attractions. Um, I was just in Grand Forks. That was interesting, and Icelandic National Park in the far northeastern corner. That was a nice little spot, little hiking spot. So yeah, that's way off the beaten path, close to the Canadian border. I was coming down from Winnipeg, stopped there. But yeah, not the best state to be spending a week on vacation. What state's the most surprising to you based on perception before visiting? Um, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've been to a state for the first time. Um, I think in general, just maybe just New England in general, just how friendly people are because you'd always heard that the Northeast is just a bunch of mean, rude people, but I I would honestly go as far to say as New England might be the friendliest part of the country. That's as you would never hear that before, but I kind of felt that way just when um, driving around some of the small towns, getting away from where a lot of the New Yorkers go for vacation. Once you get off some of those areas, and people are just really really cool. So that kind of surprised me. Um, but like I mentioned before, Nebraska, I think some of the pretty scenery is a little surprising. But I kind of knew that was going to be like that when I got there. But I think Oklahoma is a better state than it gets credit for. I think. Stanley, my favorite TV show about the U.S. I watch very little TV, so I couldn't really help you on that one. Um, I'm watching the Netflix thing that like Spielberg did. It's like all CGI dinosaur. I watched that, but that's about it as I'm watching right now. Yeah, Fargo's pretty cool. For its size, you wouldn't expect it to be, it can have the same type of thing as the Twin Cities, but for the size of the city, it's got a neat little downtown. It's got some places to hang out. Yeah, I'll be talking about Winnipeg in the video. Uh, yeah, I'd never been there before. I'd never even been to Manitoba or Saskatchewan at all, so I got the chance to see some of it around there. The area around the Northwest Angle. I didn't go into the Northwest Angle, but um, yeah, interesting drive. Is kind of driving around is in southern Manitoba was a little surprising just how many signs were in French. I wasn't expecting. Um, it's still the vast majority of people speak English there, but I was surprised to see a decent amount of French in rural Manitoba. But, um, the worst drivers. I don't know about the worst drivers, but people in the Northeast drive way, way faster on the interstates than other parts of the country, like weaving in and out. High speeds. But yeah, I don't think any one particular state can claim the worst drivers. I think it's more of a personal thing, individuals. But Tennessee, my friends live in the Michigan or Detroit suburbs, and they were putting up traffic circles, roundabouts, and it didn't take but 2 weeks or so. People figured them out. Tennessee, they've been traffic circles for 15 years, and people still haven't figured out how to navigate through them. But all right, what best mountain town east of the Mississippi? I don't know. That's a tough one. Yeah, a place like Boone, North Carolina is kind of your little college town. Roanoke, Virginia, as a bigger town, is all right. I mean, almost anywhere in Vermont. I mean, those little towns are really cool. Uh, Davis. I kind of like Davis and Thomas, West Virginia. They're a little off the beaten path. They're not at all what you would when you think of West Virginia. It's not those two towns. Those are kind of cooler mountain towns. Yeah, but not what you would expect. So I kind of like stuff that's a little bit unexpected, not so touristy. Fargo or Sioux Falls. Uh, I would say generally Sioux Falls, except for I don't know if I could deal with having that bacon plant in town. There's a Smithfield bacon plant, and I mean, it sounds like it'd be nice to have a bacon plant in your town, but man, it's pretty gross, that grease. Albert, Metro Atlanta, good place for college grads. I mean, Atlanta is a good spot for jobs. I mean, it's compared to other cities, it's not super expensive. Wages aren't the best, but um, I mean, yeah, I like Atlanta. It doesn't benefit from the same things as Tennessee because Tennessee is a very low tax state and Georgia isn't. So for Tennessee, a lot of people move here just for taxes, but they might not have a job. They might have maybe, they're working from home. Um, Georgia would be more a spot you'd move to if you have a job, because if you're just trying to pay less taxes or live somewhere cheaper, it won't be Georgia, but they do have better jobs than Tennessee. So pretty good diversified economy in the metro Atlanta area. So yeah, if you like big cities, I think it's one of the better ones, maybe the best one in the South. What is the most safe state? Most decriminalized safe state? I mean, that would just have to be a statistic. I don't know exactly which one it would be, but I mean, a state that has, like again, like Vermont or like that wouldn't be Wyoming, but Vermont because it's just there's no big towns there. I mean, you have a cluster of people, you're going to have more crime. So cities have more crime. So I would guess the ones that have well, some of those rural areas can be pretty rough, like Alaska, Wyoming, Montana, New Mexico. Some of those rural areas, like a lot of roughneck kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. That's tough to say for sure. But I would go with states that have a lot of rural areas where more people live in rural spots. I think Hawaii is also pretty low crime. American Indian tribe lands. I've been to quite a few. Not gonna lie, it's not the prettiest experiences. There's some pretty rough ones. What is it? Pine Ridge in South Dakota is very depressing. I drove through there knowing it was gonna be. I knew what to expect, and it was still still catches you off guard just how poor it is. Because I mean, you can live Kentucky or Mississippi or Alabama, you see plenty of poverty, but it's like a whole different level of poverty when you get to Pine Ridge. And that's the poorest one I've been to. The Navajo Nation in northwest New Mexico and northeast Arizona is poor as well, but it's not any worse than Mississippi or West Virginia. Oklahoma, the nations in Oklahoma tend to be a little more, what's the word, like self-serving, self-sufficient. It's almost like the ones in Oklahoma are individual states more than the other states that have a lot of reservations. I think because of how Oklahoma became a state, that's part of what was written into it. It was Indian territory before it was a state. So, yeah, because in Oklahoma, different tribes will have different turnpikes and their own toll roads and stuff. So it's a little different experience there. Oh, what happened? What happened? Did I lose something here? What's going on? Okay, it just kind of froze. All right, sorry, it froze up for a second. Yeah, so as far as the tribes, I mean, like in California, most of the tribes are so small. The lands are just, there are not that many people that are still in these recognized tribes. I mean, sadly, they were just so many of them just wiped out. So mainly just the larger tribes, the Sioux, the Navajo, still have large lands, and the Cherokee were split up, and the Seminoles were all split up, Comanche. So, yeah, I don't, yeah. It can be kind of depressing, some of the really poor ones. So it's definitely kind of pretty sad. I've never ridden Amtrak, so yeah, never ridden. I've ridden high speed rail in Morocco of all places, but never Amtrak. Um, yeah, as far as Atlanta versus Houston, those are two of the big metros in the South. I would take Atlanta for most things. Especially when you get down to natural disasters. Houston has got some problems when it comes to flooding and hurricanes and tropical storms, but they have the beach. So, I mean, that means a lot too. So I would take Houston over, say, Dallas, just for no other reason because of having a beach nearby. But Atlanta, that's kind of like Columbia, South Carolina. You can get to the beach fairly easily. You get the mountains right there too. So I like having both while having a pretty cool, fun city. But although Atlanta, terrible for walking. There's only a small part of town where you can get by without a car. Similar to Houston, you have to kind of live right near downtown or just kind of southwestish of downtown Houston to be able to be car free. They're pretty similar, but I will take Atlanta if I had to move to one or the other. Rather live in northern Minnesota or the Adirondacks. Um, I'd probably take the Adirondacks mountains. They're both two of the top spots for canoeing. I'd be in my boat half the time. But yeah, just I'd take the Adirondacks. You got more of the mountains. I can get to New York and Boston and Montreal pretty easily. I did. I graduated high school in Visalia. The name of the high school was Mount Whitney. So I grew up in the county that Mount Whitney, the peak, is in. And so I didn't live in the mountains, but you could see it sort of if there was no smog. Yeah, so Mount Whitney High School. The best mass transit, I think, is still New York. I think that's as cliche, but I think it's cliche for a reason. I mean, when I was just there, it's so easy to use. You just walk up to it. You if you don't live there, like if you're a visitor, you just put your credit card up to the thing, like you tap pay at the subway. It's so easy, and it's like it was surprisingly cheap. It's like $2 to cross the entire city. I was like, really? That's surprisingly cheap. Um, So yeah, I'd say New York for sure in terms of the best mass transit. And whenever I go there, I drive to get there, but I'll park somewhere weird. You can get a spot to park in a residential area in Brooklyn or Queens or something, and then just take the subway around town. A favorite Mountain Dew variety? No. Actually, I'm off sugary sodas. I drink Coke Zero every day, but whatever they put in that's probably worse than sugar anyway. But um, yeah, no Mountain Dew. Hey, Aaron, yeah, you went to Tulare Union, huh? I remember back when I was at Whitney, Tulare Union was like the best, like the marching band. They would go to state competitions and be really, really good. That was what I remember the most about Tulare Union. The Sierra Nevada and the Cascades they're different mountain ranges. The Sierra Nevada is almost entirely only in California. Then there's a kind of a high plateau area and a break, and then the Cascades start. So I'm not sure about the you know geologic history going back billions of years, but they are different mountain ranges. Marge, I tried to go to Lake Tulare. I wanted to get. I lived there my entire life and never saw any water ever in that lake, but you couldn't get close to it. It's so flat in the valley that the lake would kind of start as an inch deep and just kind of get go as it's just so flat, and you couldn't get anywhere near it. They had it all blocked off. The police had it blocked off, so I didn't get a chance to see it. I did see some drone footage of people that were near it, but disappointing to not see it just because you've heard about it your whole life and I never saw it. But um, it won't last long. It won't be there very long. White Castle and Crystal, those are about as awful as they get. White Castle is bad enough, and then Crystal makes White Castle look gourmet. It's pretty bad. Of all the things to have in Chattanooga, like that's headquartered here. It's like Crystal. Couldn't it be something different? Um, the most expensive gas price I've seen. I'll tell you where it is. It's this guy in Needles, California. It's the only gas station there, and it's even when gas prices were say $2, it was like $5 there. The guy is a total gouger. So if you're on I-40 in the west, gas up at that one in Arizona before the state line, or if you're coming from California, gas up in Barstow, because if you wait till Needles, that guy will gouge you. I think when the prices were really, really bad a couple years ago, I think it was like $7, maybe $8. It was crazy, seven something, and yeah, don't gas up in Needles, California. And if you're running out of gas, just get like a couple gallons, just enough to get you to the next station. Um, Zelda Octo, I'm not ready to announce it yet, but I will be on a road trip in January going through southern Sunbelt cities. I don't know exactly where I'll be. I do know the list of cities I would like to do, but I won't be able to do them all. Um, yeah, so I can't say for sure. There will likely be 3 from that road trip, but it depends a lot on weather. If it's because they're mostly outside, if it be raining, I won't do it. And if there's a special event going at wherever I'm going to be, um, yeah, I'll announce it when it gets closer to it. Yeah, I mean, New Mexico, I love the mountains there. It's one of my favorite things about visiting is just all the wilderness areas and the mountains. So, and the south and the Boot Heel, I don't know what the name of those mountains are. Like the southwest corner of the state, the Boot Heel, yeah, whatever they're called. I like, the Oregon Mountains. Yeah, the Oregon Mountains, like Organ. I like going down there. It's very just there's nothing there, and even in the winter, it's so far south, you can be in relatively high elevation, and it's not super cold. Um, I haven't actually explored the highest peaks or the highest elevation areas in north central New Mexico, kind of west of Santa Fe, east of Los Alamos, that area. I haven't even really explored much up there, but the southern ranges I like a lot. Hart, my favorite of the cities in Ohio, that's tough. I really do like Cincinnati and Cleveland. Um, I think with Cleveland, it was just more. I was so surprised at how much I like. I think I would still say Cincinnati more. It's just a little. It's smaller. It's a little more. It's compact. You can walk everywhere in Cincy. That's one thing I like about it the most. It's a really good city for not having a car, and it's hilly. I like. I mean, a lot of people might not like a walking city that's very hilly, but for me, I like that for exercise. Kind of like Pittsburgh. You're gonna. I mean, if you walk in Pittsburgh, you're gonna be in pretty decent shape. Um, so yeah, I like Cincy. Um, the one thing I don't like about Cincinnati is it's a good city for walking, but it's you go a couple of miles and it'll change to an area where it's abandoned homes and it might not be where you want to be walking around by yourself, but then before you know it, it's another regular filled in residential neighborhood. So you kind of have to be a little keep your senses up when you're walking around Cincinnati because you can't go 5 miles without going through at least a couple of sketchy areas. Pittsburgh, you can go for. I mean, you can completely avoid sketchy areas there, and most cities you can too. But Cincinnati just doesn't quite have that same. Um, you're gonna have to put up with some of that stuff sometimes. Um, Best regional barbecue. I'm partial to South Carolina. I don't know if it's because I lived there and I'm more familiar with it, but I think part of it is I like the South Carolina style of it's always a buffet. Not always, but often a buffet. So you get your plate of meat, but then the buffet is like the sides and um, whereas most places you order something from a menu, they bring you a plate of something, but in South Carolina you can go up, get more mac and cheese, get more hash, get more whatever. So I do like the ability to gorge yourself in South Carolina barbecue. Um, from a beef perspective, it's definitely going to be Texas for beef with Texas brisket. I mean, I don't California's no way. Tri-tip is not as good as Texas brisket for sure. Um, but my favorite type of barbecue is ribs. So I like the pork barbecue restaurant sides, all that of South Carolina. But as far as the actual, if it's just going to be the meat, I like the ribs of Kansas City. That's my go-to. Red or green? That's a tough. I mean, that's tough. It really depends on the dish. Man, I think more often than not I would go with red, but if I want something spicy or extra hot, I might go with the green. Um, Favorite record store? I go to a lot. That's one thing I do when I visit somewhere. I often go to a record store. Man, I'm trying to think. One's called Repo Records in Charlotte. It's a great store, and the guy that owns it, he's a very OCD. It's a very well organized place. Some record shops you can't find anything. It's just a mess. This place is pretty impressive. Oh, one called Jerry's Records in Pittsburgh in the Squirrel Hill neighborhood. You think it's a small store. You go up these stairs, and it's like this giant room, and it just opens up to another room where they have tapes, like cassettes. I don't know how you can even sell tapes anymore, but yeah, good stop. Yeah, but yeah, lots of good record stores in the country for sure. Brooklyn barbecue. There's probably some good like Central Asian barbecue, that kind of stuff in Brooklyn. Yeah, I like Memphis ribs too. Yeah, that's tough actually, Memphis or Kansas City, but those are, yeah. I mean, I do like rib. My place to go in Memphis is called I can't remember what it was called. I can't remember what it's called. It's off to the side of a Home Depot or a Lowe's parking lot. It's kind of like you, it's in a weird spot, but it's really good. Pita style. Um, New York, Chicago. I like Detroit style. I like how it's the good Alice in Wonderland, Goldilocks. It's the Goldilocks of the thick Chicago and the real thin New York. I like that medium deep dish of Detroit. My least favorite pizza style is St. Louis. If you've had St. Louis style, it's so thin you can drop it on the ground, it will shatter. It's like saltine cracker thin crust. I mean it's okay, but that's my least favorite of the pizzas. Yeah, some of these I can't answer some of these. I probably won't do a bicycle tour. I'm not really a bicycle rider much. I mean, I'm I drive between cities, and then when I'm in a city, I walk or take transit. I'm just not a cyclist. Nothing against it. I just don't. That's not my mode of transportation in cities. My favorite New England state. I love Maine. I really fell in love with it the first time I went there. It's just kind of it's weird. I like the people there are weird. I like that because it's like it's country like I don't know. I like it's country New England, and I like it. I love Portland. It's one of my favorite cities in that size range, and also some of the mountain towns north of there. I just liked the mountains, the cities, and the coast. So I liked all three of the areas, and that's a pretty good sign. I love all the wilderness in the far north. So yeah, I'd say Maine for sure. Central. It wasn't Central Barbecue. Central Barbecue was good. I'm trying to think of the one. Oh, I got it. It's Elwood's. Elwood Shack is the name of it. Is the one I like. I mean, I like a lot of them, but um, I've been to Tops. Tops is not my favorite one there. Yeah, Van Man. Yeah, I think Cincinnati chili is similar in like the Chicago deep dish pizza, and that when you think of pizza, you're not thinking probably Chicago deep dish. You're thinking probably more New York style. And so when you hear Cincinnati chili, I think people are thinking a bowl of chili. It's thick. It's got maybe lot of beef or maybe beans, and it's just like this thick, hearty chili. But Cincinnati chili is really, it takes the place of spaghetti sauce. It's runnier, it's cinnamon, and it's got some spice to it. So it's not like a thick bowl of chili or something you would get in Texas or New Mexico. It's just an alternative for spaghetti sauce or marinara. And I love it. It's heavy on cinnamon, but Skyline is the one that's the most well known. But some of the ones that are not on the interstate, I think, are better. I like the one called Dixie Chili in Kentucky. Bear paws. Surprisingly enough, I don't know a ton about our ancestry. My mom's mom, my grandma, was adopted, so we're not quite sure. She was white, but we don't know what kind of white. My biological grandpa on my mom's side, he wasn't who my mom grew up with. We don't know a whole lot about him, what his ancestry was. My dad's side is really convoluted. He's a mix of indigenous and Hispanic and Basque, and it's a pretty weird mix. So because of that, we just, I don't know a whole lot about it. A lot of missing pieces. But my dad's probably about 3/4 indigenous, Hispanic-ish, and like 1/4 white. My mom she's white, but we don't know what kind of white. So, so don't know a whole lot, but just a mutt. Just a mutt, I guess. I don't want to do the thing where you submit your DNA. I'm not comfortable with having a private company with my DNA on file. That doesn't sit well with me. I'm not exactly a conspiracy theorist, but I don't like that. Companies sitting on my DNA, and I don't know. I've heard of Maryland pit beef. I never had it, but I've heard of it. St. Louis pizza, burnt cheese on a cracker. That's kind of what it is. But St. Louis makes up for it by having lots of really good Italian restaurants. The Hill area in St. Louis, the Little Italy. It's a lot of great restaurants there. Las Cruces, New Mexico. I like it there. It's a college town for New Mexico State. It's about a half an hour north of El Paso. Been some growth there. I like it. It's a good spot for me. It's trying to think how much it's grown. It's growing. I don't think it's a ton though. The best sports city. I mean, in terms of how well the teams, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Pittsburgh's pretty big. I think the fact that all their teams are black and gold helps. You can just have a black and gold theme for all your sports teams. That kind of, I mean, Cleveland, their teams are always awful, but they still have fans. That says something that when was the last time a team from Cleveland was good at anything? El Greco, no. I speak a tiny bit of Spanish, but not much. My dad speaks Spanish. I wish I would have, obviously would have made sense growing up in California with my dad who speaks Spanish and living there. But stupidly enough, I do speak French. So I'm going to be, part of my exotic travels are going to be somewhere that is French, Francophone. And then I'll do some more stuff with Quebec next year, but very little Spanish. Eastern Carolina barbecue. Yeah, I've had that as well. Really good. I like North Carolina style too. Like the whole hog North Carolina style. But I do prefer the mustard type sauce to the vinegar, but I've had some great vinegar sauce too. City with the worst food. I don't know. City with the worst food. I was somewhere recently. I just could not find a spot to eat. It was small town somewhere, but I couldn't say for sure who has the worst food. I've not been to Japan. I've not been to Asia at all. Never even been to the Asian continent. And that's not where my exotic travels are taking me in February. I would love to go to Japan, or Korea, but how can you go without speaking the language? Like, you have to limit yourself to what you can do, or have a guide translate with you, or just walk around with Google Translate the whole time. I don't know, but I would really, really love to see Japan, just because of how it was just so isolated for thousands of years. What they do there was so different than everyone else. Ado Quille, thank you very much. I appreciate that. It means a lot to me. Do I know any German? I do not. My wife speaks a little bit of German. Her dad was from Germany, who spoke German, and she speaks a little bit. We were in Germany last year, earlier this year, and she wasn't able to get by speaking German, but she could. If in an emergency, we could get by on German, but I don't speak any of it. Actually, I don't know how to say "I surrender" in French. Surrender. That's not a word. I don't know if you're trying to make a joke with a World War II type thing, but I don't know how to say surrender. That's Do I research record shops? Not before I go. If I'm in a big city, it's pretty safe assumption there'll be one. But with record shops, because they don't do ton of money business, they're not usually in the heart of downtown or in their high rent part of town. But yeah, I do. Yeah, I try to check them out as much as I can. In restaurants, I do that once I'm there. I don't do that ahead of time. So it depends on where I'm at. Like when I was in St. Louis or Cleveland, I wanted Italian food for sure. So I was like, okay, best Italian when I got there, and then. But I don't do a ton of research. I've never had any problem finding a good spot. There's no difficulties in finding good food in any city. What small Midwest cities that are assumed to be declining think get a worse rap than it deserves? Um, I don't know. A lot of those ones kind of do deserve their rap. Like Toledo is pretty gnarly. Dayton is not that bad. Dayton's, of course, that's a little bit bigger. Yeah, I don't know. That size range of cities is not the Midwest strong point. That's not really the. There's some places like Rockford, Illinois, South Bend, Indiana, Lansing, Michigan. These are, Green Bay has gotten kind of rough too. I think Fort Wayne is one of the better ones. Evansville, Indiana, another one that's pretty good. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think the Midwest is better for bigger cities and smaller towns and rural areas, but some of those 200 to 500,000 range cities were kind of rough. No Germany video. That wasn't really a vacation. It was a for personal family type thing. So it wasn't. There was no content involved with Germany. Virginia. Yeah, I like Virginia. Your favorite state. Winchester. Yeah, that's the northern end of the state. Yeah, I'd imagine by now Winchester probably has a handful of DC people willing to commute an hour and a half. Yeah, I was recently in Norfolk, Virginia Beach. That was the last metro area over 500,000 people in the U.S. that I'd ever been to, other than Honolulu. So I've now been to all of them, and not gonna lie, I wasn't a huge fan of Virginia Beach. I was kind of disappointed at how just it's it's a suburb. I was surprised that the whole thing is just a suburb. And Norfolk, I kind of liked it, but it's also kind of rough. But the downtown seemed to be a little more interesting. Richmond, I think, is better than it used to be. It's gotten pretty cool. It's pretty not the nicest place 15, 20 years ago. I like Roanoke. Um, I'm not a big fan of DC suburb. It's a bit too for me, but um, West Virginia local state. What is your opinion? Is it too clannish to really put it? Um, Not sure what you mean by that. I mean, it's a small state, and people, and because of the shape of it, there's differences in different parts. Some of the coal country in the south end, and the more kind of the nicer scenery areas in the east. Um, Yeah, I mean it's kind of I actually usually put West Virginia with the South because most of the people in the state live in the southern end of it, and that's pretty southern. Charleston, Huntington is not any less southern than Lexington or Roanoke. My favorite Springfield, for as many of them as there are, they're all kind of rough, right? Springfield, Illinois, Massachusetts, Missouri, Ohio, they're all kind of. I'm not as familiar with the Oregon one. I'm okay with Springfield, Missouri. It's got some major crime issues, but yeah, not my favorite of the words that there's a bunch of cities of. Yeah, Green Bay. I was surprised at just how many visible homeless there were there. I was shocked. Homelessness has been a major problem, getting worse through the years, but Green Bay seemed to be a whole level above. I'm not sure if it's just lack of any type of shelter at all for homeless, and they're just all visible. But man, it was pretty bad. Sire, what state that I wish I could have more time in? I mean, I feel like I've scoured most of the states pretty good. I mean, there's always more. There's always something else. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think about that for a while. Probably, actually, you know what? It'd be Washington. It'd be Washington for sure because I have not spent much time or any time at all in central Washington. So east of the Cascades and west of Spokane, I have not even been to that part of the state. So that, yeah, it'd be Washington. A bucket list natural site. Um, Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of natural places. Yeah, I mean, Alaska, basically just Alaska in general. Denali National Park, getting it way back there. Katmai. I love to go canoeing any of the spots in Alaska. That'd be kind of like my main thing to see. Probably no trips to Colorado until the spring, maybe. Um, yeah, probably not. No, actually, not even the spring. Spring is booked. The first job I had after college, I was in emergency management for the state of South Carolina, doing hurricane and other hazard mitigation and preparedness type planning. Springfield, Vermont. That probably is pretty nice. I've never been there. Rick Springfield. Green Bay is the number one city in the U.S. per magazine. Man, some of those magazines are just so dumb. Like there was one when we first moved to Chattanooga. Some magazine said Chattanooga is the greatest city in the world. That was like their ranking, and it was like what? And the following year, the same magazine picked Billings, Montana. I'm like, you lost any credibility you've ever had if you went with Billings, Montana as the next greatest city. I have had a Runza, and I've had a Runza. I probably won't have another one. That's honestly, that might be Nebraska. You might have the worst local fast food thing for your. That's Runza's pretty bad. I'm sure people that live there have a soft spot for it, but man, they're pretty bad. I mean, if you don't know what a Runza is, it's like a hot pocket, but it's from a fast food joint, and it's I don't know. People like them, but I think even people in Nebraska often hate Runza. So yeah, Central Washington. Just yeah, I have not been there. We went to Seattle, and then my wife has family in Spokane, and we visited Spokane from the Idaho side, and then drove down from Spokane to Pullman, but didn't see anything between that and the Cascades. So yeah, that's my least visited state, and of the ones I've been to. And there's kind of a running joke whenever I talk about Washington is I say something wrong, and somebody makes a comment. Yep, Kyle still hasn't been to Washington. All right. See if I can catch up a little bit here. Probably no more acapella shorts. That was a stuck in Carbondale, Illinois for a couple days. Had exciting times right there. How many distinct regions of California? It really depends. You know, the LA area is kind of its own. The Bay Area is another one. The deserts, the far north, the High Sierra, and the Central Valley, Central Coast. I think those are the kind of the main general regions. But yeah, it's hard to say for sure. I mean, most states have things you can break it up, and just with it being a larger state, you can get a little more region out of it. But I think the mountains separating the valley and the coast and the deserts is kind of what mainly separates the regions of the state based on physical geography. Yeah, I mean, Nebraska, some people love those things. Thoughts on Casey's? One thing I think is interesting over the past few years, I've noticed that states have taken like state pride with your big convenience store chain, and so you're starting to see these. I think Casey's is either Illinois or Iowa, and it's like an Iowa thing, and now you're starting to see what is it? Is it Wawa or whatever in Pennsylvania? And like people have like this regional, oh no, it's Wawa, or and what's another one that's kind of like that? Like they're doing the Buc-ee's thing now in the South. This is Tennessee or Texas one. It's just this giant Disneyland gas station. I don't know. If you want to take a half an hour to pump gas, go to Buc-ee's. It'll take you all day because it's so much stuff there. But those Casey's ones, it's kind of interesting because they're all of them are taking over smaller ones. So you have these regional identities with some of these convenience stores. I think it's pretty funny. Yes, Yellowstone. I do love Yellowstone. Probably my favorite. But again, I haven't been to Alaska. There's room for Yellowstone to be topped for sure. I have not been to any of the New England islands. I'd love to go to Block Island, but I haven't been. Oh no, actually I have been to Mount Desert Island because we went to Acadia National Park. But as far as the ones that are a little more off the coast, haven't been to. Actually, lying again. We took a little boat ride from off the coast of Portland to one of those islands you can take a little ferry to, or so. But not Nantucket, not Martha's Vineyard, not Block Island. I do remember Beavis and Butthead from. I'm not sure. It seems like East Central Texas is kind of what I would guess. Maybe around Huntsville, uh, Bryan, College Station. That's kind of where I thought that show would be, kind of like in between Dallas and Houston somewhere. Oh, well, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of King of the Hill. I got these. Whatever. It's the same thing. Um, I I don't have any heart. I don't have any creative solutions to the housing crisis. Yeah, I don't know. I think in a lot of cities, I don't want to put too much blame on Airbnb, but so many cities have said we're going to build 10,000 new, or not, maybe like 5,000 new homes, and then 2,000 are bought up by people that already own a lot of properties and are. So I don't think as much housing is being built as is supposedly being built, and a lot of towns are becoming overly touristed. Like I think Nashville is the best example of that. Is just something that's they're not building housing; they're building more stuff for tourists to go downtown. But yeah, I don't have a good answer for housing crisis. I mean, I know cities are losing population, but I mean, I don't know how easy or difficult it would be to turn uh, an office skyscraper into housing. I mean, you have the foundation and the building itself, but with walls and wiring and plumbing, I don't know. But that's something I know some cities have looked at. New York and San Francisco, some of the emptier high rises. Although New York and San Francisco had some of empty high rises before the pandemic, anyway. But yeah, Quick Trip. That's the Wisconsin one. All these states have their own little thing now. I think it's kind of funny. Yeah, I know. With as far as Lake Mead and the Colorado River, I think it's improved from a year ago, but it's still pretty dire. And more people moving there is not going to make it any better. It's going to make it worse. So yeah, I've mentioned this before. I think with California, they're going to have to go ocean desalinate. I don't know what else they can do. Like you have the ocean. It's incredibly expensive and complicated, but you have to do it. But as far as Utah and Arizona, I mean, I think maybe the thought is if California gets off the Colorado River, if you're having less pull, then there might be more water for Nevada, Arizona, and Utah, but it might just cause them to grow even more and put equal strain on it. So, um, yeah, I don't know. It's people never look at water as a like a deterrent to move somewhere. So I don't think if anyone say lives in Pennsylvania, gets offered a job in Arizona, I doubt they're going to say, well, it's an improvement, it's a promotion, it's a pay increase, but oh, there's no water there, so we can't move. I mean, no one does that. So water should be something that people think about, but they tend to not. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how dire it really is from an engineering and from a hydrology standpoint, but it's not getting better, that's for sure. My dream road tripping car, it really depends because whether or not I'm camping. So I have a sports car. I think that's the best type of car for me if I'm not camping. If we're camping on a road trip, we'll need more space. So something more like I mean, you want to get good gas mileage. So something that gets decent mileage that can put camping gear in it. So like a like a Honda CRV or RAV4 kind of thing. I don't know. Um, I used to like those Honda Elements, those box things. I'd kind of like to see those things brought back. But yeah, strip malls and their residential units. I mean, there's stuff like that, like converting, like a lot of those old 80s, 90s style malls that are just half empty. I mean, what are you going to do with that? A lot of those things have giant parking lots. You can build stuff on these old parking lots, but yeah, I don't know. If people had a good solution to the housing crisis, they'd probably be figured out by now. It's kind of like homelessness. If there was a good solution, we probably have figured it out by now. But yeah, Aaron, that's the thing. I mean, Yeah, there is enough water in California without, Los Angeles. So that's a problem because there's no water in Southern California, and that's where more than half the state's population, or about half the state's population, is. Um, there's enough water in the Sierra for the people of California, but the down south, that L.A., Riverside, San Bernardino, Orange, San Diego, that's what 18, 20 million people. So. That's how a lot of states are. A lot of places, certain parts have water, some don't. Like Georgia is a state that has a lot of water, but if you've been to seen the reservoir levels lately, they're pretty low. Uh, yeah, Hussey's Huddle. I didn't quite do. I did just the prairie provinces, and I didn't go over the Rockies this last trip. I was gonna do more of Canada, but at the time didn't work out. Um, but no, I did not do the Trans Canada Highway. That's one I've always wanted to do. I don't think I'll probably be able to do it at one stretch. I'll probably have to break it up like I did, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Western Ontario, and then next year Quebec and maybe the Maritimes. But in terms of all at once, probably not actually. Sarah, definitely music on road trips for sure. I don't do podcast or radio. I don't like um, because middle of nowhere, you're not going to get much perception anyway. And yeah, I just keep my own music. um, I have a hard drive with um, about 2,000 gigs of music on there. I take with me. Lukewarm. Yeah, I mean, geothermal has a potential in West Virginia and areas like that. I don't think it'll ever be enough to replace coal, but there can be some replacement of coal, but it'll never be able to be equal to coal. But they do need to think about other options there because they can't just continue to rely on coal like they've been for the past 150 years. Um, yeah, so I know that there's been some research at West Virginia University, physicists and geologists working on potential ways to exploit geothermal potential in eastern West Virginia, where you have a lot of springs and um, access to hot water not too far from the surface. So, but I think it's going to be more of a thing in the western U.S. It's just not as many options in the east. So I think it'll be, but West Virginia and like south centralist Pennsylvania are where you have the best options for that. Okay, I'll answer a few more here. Um, yeah, satellite radio is good too, but my car doesn't have it. Um, my car's it's too old to have any of that newer infotainment kind of stuff. I do listen to recent music, but the older you get, it's harder to keep up with it. Um, so like when you're younger, you go out, at a bar, hear something playing overhead or whatever. But I just don't know how to keep up with as much stuff nowadays. But also, it's not as good. I mean, the music was really good up until about 10 years ago or so, and then I'm into indie rock and indie rap, and it's gotten pretty bad in both those genres. Indie country is not that good anymore. Well, there's some good indie country, but on why there are 38 time zones, I don't know exactly why there are 38. It's the time zones are it's mainly physical geography, but it's also cultural. When you look at the time zone boundaries in the U.S., like where the mountain time zone and the central time zone come together, that's a very desolate area to be for population. So that's why you can have a dividing line in time zone that doesn't really affect people too much. But so it's probably going to be more along those lines more cultural type things, not just the pure Earth Sun geography. Like Newfoundland and Canada is notoriously a half an hour off time zone. I mean, how do you even do that? But Asa, thank you very much. I appreciate it. That means a lot to me. My favorite newish band is the Viagra Boys. They're a silly name, but they're recent. King Gizzard they've been around for a good 10 years now. Of course, they have like 50 albums in 10 years, but so I like stuff like that. But I think the indie rock stuff of the early 2000s was really good. All right, guys, I think I'm just about caught up. Okay, Hakeem's, the Arklamis Delta can ever reverse its population decline. It's tough. Arkansas has been, as a state, has been doing okay, but all of the growth has been in the northwest corner. It's all been Walmart in Bentonville, Tyson and Springdale, and the stuff with the University of Arkansas and medical stuff and research. So the other parts of the state really aren't getting much. Mississippi is, I mean, I checked again when I was looking at population growth. I think it's just about dead last. It's still losing, and even though it's cheap. So the conventional wisdom is that places that are cheap, low tax are growing, but Mississippi and West Virginia are still not. So, and it's the same thing in Louisiana. It's that part, I don't know, they have rice there, but it's such a floody or area that's like a floodplain. You can't really grow too much there, and people-wise, you can't grow housing. You can grow rice. That's about the best you can do. And I don't think any of those three states are really focusing on that tri-state area as where they want to potentially have growth, because Louisiana is all about the south, the energy corridor. Arkansas is about the northwest corner. Mississippi just isn't anything right now. So I don't know what they could do in that part of the country. I mean, manufacturing would be the best option, but there isn't really a large population center there. Most companies with a factory want it to be at least near a decent sized population center so they can have a good pool of people to hire from. But that's one of a few parts of the country where it's been bad for a long time without really any major improvements in sight. So, I don't know. I think with, because Memphis in Tennessee is kind of the same way, but Memphis being a city has just gotten a big boost from Ford. They're going to be building a huge plant there. So I don't think that kind of factory would be going up in, say, Greenville, Mississippi, or Pine Bluff, Arkansas. I don't know. I'm not sure what you could do to reverse that. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm caught up with all the geography stuff. I don't think Louisiana is the worst state. Its health stuff is bad, pay is bad, but that doesn't mean it's the worst state. They got great food, great people, warm winters. If you're into canoeing, paddling, got a lot of water, if your most important things are healthcare, then no, that's not the state for you. But I like Louisiana. It's got kind of a weird, funky feel to it. They don't care what the rest of the South is doing. But yeah, all right. So that's it, guys. Look for a video coming up in the next couple days, and then I love doing that huge quiz thing. I'll have to do that again and set aside more than 1 hour. Just do a live stream of just that. That'd be fun. Maybe get people doing it at the same time. See what we can do. But yeah, I got some big stuff coming up. So look for some new announcements where the road trips are going to be, where the quiz shows, and some big travel coming up too. So hope you guys will stay involved, keep watching, and hope to keep it interesting for you guys. So let me, all right. So thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you next time I do one of these.